With Star Wars being one of the biggest movie franchises of all time, I thought I would rank all three of the Star Wars trilogies from worst to best. Starting in last place is the sequel trilogy. Now I'll be rating these off of two things: how well the movies are connected and how good the movies are on their own. And I enjoyed 2 out of the 3 movies in the sequel trilogy. The Force Awakens, even though having similarities to A New Hope, I thought it was a great film that was fast paced and a lot of fun. The Last Jedi I thought was a pretty decent film. The cinematography made every scene look like a piece of art. There were some pretty good twists in there, and even though a lot of people don't like how different Luke was in this film, it never bothered me, and I found his arc here really interesting. The plotline at the casino though was definitely the worst part of that movie and went for way too long, so that's why I say this movie is decent and not great. But then you get to the Rise of Skywalker, and that film was beyond awful. The lighting was always off, there wasn't a single action scene in that film that was interesting, bringing Palpatine back felt forced, and it feels like most of the movie was trying to reverse what Rian Johnson did in The Last Jedi, and therefore felt rushed and undercooked. And that's not even mentioning the amount of plot holes in that film. But the real reason it's in last place is because the trilogy itself is really bad and disconnected. It's been said many times now how Disney did not have a plan going into these films, so they get J.J. Abrams to do the first movie, probably with a vision of where things are going, but then they get Rian Johnson to do the second movie, and he has an entirely different vision for where he wants things to go, so he changed a lot of stuff. And then for the third film, they hired J.J. Abrams to come back, and he doesn't like what Rian Johnson did in his movie, so he spends the third film trying to undo what he did. And because of all this, it feels like every film in this trilogy hates the previous film and is constantly trying to reinvent itself. And because of that, you have certain characters who get a lot of screen time in one film and barely show up in the next one. I don't think the trilogy gave Rey, the main character, a character arc or any character development throughout these films. So because of that, we have a trilogy where the first film is great, the second film is decent, and the third film is pretty bad and sloppy, all because they were basically making it up as they went along, so this is going in last place for me. And next up we have the prequel trilogy. Now this is actually the opposite of the sequel trilogy in many ways. Whereas the sequel trilogy has 2 good movies and 1 bad one, the prequel trilogy has 2 bad movies and 1 really good film. Even though there were some good moments in The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, the CGI and green screen just did not age well, and the acting can be kind of wooden, which I don't think is because the actors are bad or the director is bad. They've shown they can be good in other stuff, but probably because of the dialogue being pretty cheesy and most of the scenes being filmed in front of green screen. That being said, the third film, Revenge of the Sith, is really good and a big improvement in the writing, dialogue, and acting. The story is tragic, the action is at its best, and it's easily the most entertaining film in the prequels. But what I think makes this trilogy better than the sequels is that there was a vision for it and a plan. Instead of going from writer to writer and going in without a plan like the sequels did, the prequels have one director and writer the entire time, that being George Lucas, and he has a vision throughout that makes this trilogy feel complete and more competently made than the sequels. So even though the sequel trilogy may have better movies and more good films, the prequel trilogy just feels like a real trilogy that sticks a landing and stays consistent with its characters and its writing. But in first place, it's without question the original trilogy. It all started with a fantastic first film, and after that flew off, George Lucas planned out 2 more movies and made possibly the most satisfying, unique trilogy of films from that era of cinema. What I think works so well with this trilogy is that George Lucas wrote all 3 of the films, but he brought new directors in to direct the movie, so that way we can have every movie follow George Lucas's vision set up in the first film while changing up the tone in each film. A New Hope, directed by George Lucas, is more of a hero's journey sci-fi war film that has a sense of discovery to it. The Empire Strikes Back, directed by Irvin Kershner, has more of a darker tone, is a lot more somber in the way it tells its story. And Return of the Jedi, directed by Richard Marquand, is a lot more lighthearted and fun, which makes the film more satisfying as a conclusion to the trilogy. Every movie here is really good, the characters grow and develop through each film, and every character feels more layered as the trilogy goes on. For example, in the third film, Darth Vader is portrayed as a mysterious evil villain with no redeeming qualities, but in the last film we see him as a tragic character being manipulated by something more evil, and we as the audience are rooting for him to be redeemed. And every character, including Han Solo, Luke, or Yoda, is given that same type of development, whereas with every movie we learn more and more about them to the point where as they become iconic by the last movie, so an overall perfect trilogy that's still timeless to this day.